Swinging a high drive into center field. Hits at the wall. It is gone! Casas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied! This game is tied!
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
Welcome back to Play Tessie. It is episode 135. If you're listening on drop date, it's September 24th. This is the official Red Sox podcast of WEEI. I'm here with Sammy and Pat. Before we get going, remember, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, 5 stars, the whole deal. It helps us out so much. So, literally just do it in Spotify and then go do it in Apple. Do it twice. We really appreciate it when you guys do that. And as always, you can find us on YouTube on the WEI channel in the Play Tessie podcast playlist there, where you can hit the thumbs up on the videos, which we really appreciate. And you can subscribe to WEI from there. As always, on the socials as well, at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. So here with Sammy, here with Pat, and I who I feel with, I swear to God, we've been doing Red Sox talk every single day. It doesn't matter that they are as close to mathematically eliminated as humanly possible without being mathematically eliminated. I feel like we talk Sox every single day, and this dates back, I guess, to us being on the radio with Bradford on Sunday for the Baseball Isn't Boring radio show on WEI. I said Sunday, but I meant Saturday. Man, guys, how about that Wasabi challenge?
Dude, I mean,
how about it?
It was brutal, and I cannot even talk on this podcast about why it was so brutal, because it's so graphic. That was when we were doing the challenge, you eat the wasabi, and the first thing you think was, for me at least, I won't speak for you, Gordo, Pat got out of it, was oh, cool. Okay, not that bad. I had some trouble getting it down, but once you eat the wasabi, for me, I'm third time doing it, I'm all good. I was running home out of Fenway Park after that. I felt so crappy, literally until I went to bed at night on Saturday. That. And again, that's not even wasabi, what we were eating. That was the most artificial, medicinal, neon green, disgusting, generic grocery store wasabi you'll ever have. So we basically ate like a chemical fire that was put into a tube. So yeah, all for the entertainment of the listeners.
So to summarize how this went, so if I remember correctly, so while we were not on the show 2 weeks ago, Rob had Natalie Nori and Tyler Murray, who, congratulations to him, who's now going to be the radio broadcaster for the Knicks. He had them in, and they took the Wasabi challenge, and Rob was going to have Natalie back to administer the challenge from the position of power. So she was going to get to ask Rob a question, but we all got looped into it. So Rob created questions for us, and the deal with the Wasabi challenge is, if you get it right, Rob has to eat it, and if you get it wrong, you have to eat it. And it's always going to be at least a fairly hard question. And so Sammy went first. He got his wrong. He ate the wasabi. I went second. I got it wrong. I ate the wasabi. Sammy, your experience was right. If you're watching it on the screen, you see me eat it. I get it down. I make a little bit of a face right there, and then I'm okay. You yell McFarlane, you yell wasabi after, and I was good to go. And as I was sitting down there, I felt good for the rest of the show. Pat went third. Pat was asked, which college did Richard Fitz attend and what round was he drafted in? Pat nailed it. Incredibly. Auburn, 6th round pick. That's Rob, did you? I don't want to say did you. He sold you short here because he told you it was an easier question, but that's not an easy question, and you nailed that question.
When he said, when he said he had a good feeling I was going to get it right, I was thinking like what number does Richard Fitz wear? That was not in my mind an easy question at all. I don't even know why I remembered that. I think I looked it up when we initially traded for him, and we talked about it for like a second on the show.
Now, if you were a team player, you're still you with Wasabi.
I'm not a team player.
All right.
Yeah,
No, that was so impressive, man. Like the fact that you got no shot. I would have gotten that 0% chance.
Same.
I had no clue he went to Auburn until you said that. Let alone the round he was picked. That was pretty damn impressive. So kudos to you, Pat. But I still wish you had, player.
And then I also think I'm the first person to ever get the question right.
You might be the first person ever to get it right.
So
yeah,
making amends, getting revenge for those who have fallen, and making Rob literally throw up in a Fenway stall. Yeah, it was worth it. It was a highlight.
How we got there though, so Rob ate Pat's wasabi because, as we said, like if the person gets the question right, the person in the position of power has to eat the wasabi. So Rob ate Pat's wasabi, but Natalie was still there to administer Rob's question, and honestly, she gave him a gettable question that he honestly, had he not eaten your wasabi, Pat, I think he would have had a clearer mind and been able to get it. But he was reeling because he gave you a healthy helping, and he had to eat that healthy helping because he was ready to make you eat it. In the end, he had to do it. So he got the second question wrong too, ate the second spoon of wasabi, and to his credit, tried to tough it out, sit in the seat. He was there through the commercial break. Like you could see he was ready to die. The shoulders were tense. The hands were gripping the chair. Like he was sweating it out. He makes it into the next segment. Like he asked Natalie to make a joke and pretend that he had to run and got sent to the hospital. She makes the joke. She brings us back. And then like within a few minutes of that segment, Rob bolts out the door to go puke in the Fenway stall. And like, honestly, like I've never seen him move that fast in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish we had that on. I had a great view too, because I was standing. I gave up my mic and I was standing, and he turned the corner so fast, ran out the studio, zip, right to the left, gone. And look, Rob's a great guy. He's been great to us. He's a good person. He likes making people's baseball dreams come true, but nobody deserved to eat wasabi more than Bradford. He's tortured so many people. So as much as we love Bradford, he earned that wasabi pain. Also, Pat, you might be the first person to get it right. I think I'm the first person to eat the wasabi.
Oh,
Gordo and I, we were the guinea pigs, and I think I went first.
You did.
I can't. You know what my issue is? I can't get it down. Like I can't. I have to chew it. It doesn't. I can't just swallow it, or else I feel like I'm going to throw it right back up.
I think that's normal. It has to sit there for a little bit before you can swallow it, which I think is part of what makes it so bad. But for me, the issue, just to like take you into the perspective of a Gordo post eating wasabi, and Sammy and I had different experiences here. Because if I remember correctly, Sammy, you were fine when you were moving around, but when you sat still, it was bad. For me, sitting still, I felt totally fine. But when I was moving around, I would feel it, and I definitely didn't feel good. When I was eating, I felt great. But then when we were on the elevator going back down, I knew I was about to start having problems. And you guys know where the elevator reaches the floor. Between there and like the tunnel that we usually go out to when we get to Fenway Park, it's the tunnel behind home plate. It's not a far walk. When I was about halfway there, I realized I was not about to like make it to my seat. I didn't make it. I wasn't
take a detour.
Yeah.
No, I feel you, man. That was rough. And I think Natalie put it a good way. You feel it in your upper gut.
Yes.
It's like above your stomach. It's like this heat. And you know what my mistake was? I didn't eat food before. So it was like a friggin' firebomb in my stomach. God,
you feel it even more.
Yeah. And then you can't stop tasting wasabi. And I kept thinking, I was so rattled. Like I was sitting at home afterwards. I feel fine. I'm like, all right, cool. That was awful. I feel good now. I'm watching the game, playing some video games. And then I kept thinking, like, do I smell wasabi? Is there like wasabi outside? I kept like smelling it, but it was in my head. Like, there's no wasabi in this. no wasabi in this apartment, but I kept smelling it like it was like floating through the air or like, oh God, I couldn't get it out. I was rattled. I took a big L to the wasabi yesterday.
Yeah, and you surely remember that spot at Fenway where we walked through it and we both agreed it smelled like wasabi, and when I passed it again, that spot again smelled like wasabi. I don't know what the hell that was about.
What was that, dude? There was like a spot right by the entrance of gate, I think D, and it smelled like wasabi, and we both smelled it. It wasn't just one of us thinking we smelled it.
And I smelled it again. It was there when I came back, like 40 minutes later. I don't know what the hell that was about, but yeah. I mean, again, like you said it right. Like you're just rattled. I didn't feel it until I went to bed. I ate dinner and I didn't feel the effects of the wasabi by then, but I would say I was feeling the effects for a good few hours. I think there was something about this particular wasabi because it hasn't hit me like this one did. And I had food. I had a protein bar beforehand, so like it wasn't like I had it on an empty stomach. Something about this particular wasabi. And yeah, he gave us a lot.
Big dollops of wasabi, yeah. And credit to Bradford when he took his, he had a large dollop, and then his second one, we all agreed like you can make the second one smaller. We don't want Bradford to die here, but yeah, he had like 1.75 spoonfuls of wasabi. So.
And full disclosure, we did give him an out. Like we gave him an opening where if he wanted to not take the second one, he could have taken it. But he took it like a man. So props to Bradford and Pat, props to you, because even though you're safe this time, you are going to get not only the hardest question of all time, you're going to get the largest spoonful of all time. Like you might be like you're smiling now. You might be wearing this one for a while. Like you might get it. I don't know, because we might do it in the off season. Who knows?
Yeah, and like that's the thing is, I think because in the immediate future I'm safe. That being said, there are 2 times where I'm gonna get bit in the ass. I'm gonna get fucked over bad. It's gonna be winter weekend doing live radio in front of people.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was thinking that today.
It's gonna be in Fort Myers for spring training. It's gonna be one of those 2.
Oh, winter weekend. Oh my God, we're totally doing the wasabi challenge at winter weekend
in front of a crowd. How great is that?
Oh my God, that is going to be. Oh well, if we're gonna do it, Papelbon has to do it.
I was about to say, what if someone like Pap came on and did it with you guys?
Pap would do it.
I mean, I'm down to do it anyway.
Yeah, I think Pap would just eat a tube of
he'd be fine. For fun. Yeah, he'd be all right.
Yeah, if anyone could take it like a champ,
that's on my radar.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I'm excited.
I forget the exact hypothetical I had said yesterday, but I'm just thinking of the crazy questions I'm gonna end up getting. Like, all right, Pat, Nick Sogard's mom's aunt has a signature Thanksgiving dessert. Recite the recipe. Like, it's gonna be something insane. It's gonna be impossible to get, and I'm gonna have to eat a lot of wasabi, and I'm not looking forward to that. But for now, we're in good spirits.
Enjoy it, Pat. It's like when you win a championship, but it's like the last dance. Like when the Pats won the Super Bowl with like old Brady and like broken down Gronk, and like we knew that was probably it. It's like, yeah, we're gonna endure the pain at some point soon, but like enjoy this while you have it. So keep that smile on your face, Pat. God, it is a Red Sox podcast, so we do have to talk a little bit of Red Sox, and honestly, we're talking about the radio. So honestly, I feel like we should expand on a conversation that we had on the radio, and that can be our Red Sox talk for this podcast. But Rob asked, I found it interesting because Rob asked us all, like, where do you pinpoint if you had to say one thing, like this went wrong with the Red Sox season, and that is what cost them the season, what would it be? And the 3 of us gave different answers. Remind me of your guys' answer. I don't want to get it wrong. So I said it was the bullpen meltdown right after the All-Star break, like the 2 weeks where they blew like 5 or 6 games or whatever that they had in their pocket and didn't get those wins, and going to LA without reinforcements when they'd lost Martin and Slayton, and then going to Colorado without Martin, Slayton, and Jansen, and just the bullpen meltdowns that led to then like another bullpen meltdown against the Yankees at Fenway. Like it was just the extended run of the bullpen in that spot to me was tops amongst a number of things that went wrong. There really is no wrong answer because kind of everything went wrong. But remind me of your guys' answers to this one.
Yeah, I agree. That was awful. But the reason I would pick something else, and I'm going to pick the offense, is because if the offense performed, they could have weathered that bullpen storm. It was right there in front of them. In the words of Aaron Boone, it's right there in front of us, and they just couldn't do it. So specifically, it's the strikeouts. And I know we're going to talk a lot about this in the offseason. We've already done a full episode about Tyler O'Neill. Do you bring him back or not? Good bat, lots of strikeouts, kind of 50-50 there. But for me, considering that they kind of survived that bullpen faltering, the biggest issue down the stretch, at least, was not being able to put the ball in play, striking out way too much to the point where they had a game in which the Red Sox struck out, brace yourself, 20 times in one night. I'll say that one more time. The Red Sox struck out 20 times in one baseball game. So that is bad. In case you're new,
Worst of all time,
good.
or
Yep,
worst in team history.
Yeah, team history, not good. You don't want to strike out 20 times in one game. Just my opinion. So that is my choice for what led to the downfall.
Pat, what was yours? Remind me.
Fatigue. And we were saying it in May. We were talking about this when Tanner had a sub 1, Cutter had a sub 2, and then you had guys in the bullpen through, I would say like June was like a 1.9 ERA. And we were like, these are all guys going into uncharted water beyond July, August. They're going to regress. They're going to be fatigued. And they got Simpson, Garcia, whatever. Rotation-wise, the only thing they did was bring in Paxton, who I understood at the time. I get it. I cheat, take the flyer. I get it. But you have to do something else. Paxton should be like what Cooper Criswell was. He should be your depth starter. He should be, lefty multi-in guy out of the bullpen. That was your rotation move. And you did nothing to supplement the inevitable fatigue. And once the starters kind of had that stretch where they were just getting absolutely hammered off of, then the bullpen's coming in earlier in the game. Once that happens, the bullpen's getting fatigued. And it's just a whole mishmash of shit. And the fatigue is the biggest thing that killed them in my eyes this year.
So and to build off of that, because like what does fatigue come from? In my opinion, it comes from lack of depth. If you've got the starting pitching depth that hopefully they'll have next year, it's like you can skip starts and maybe Cutter and Houck and Pivetta don't have the Augusts that they had or like the end of Julys that they had. If you've got a depth of high quality offensive players, maybe Jarren Duran doesn't have to play every single day. Maybe Rafael Devers doesn't have to play close to every single day. Those guys both wore down their September OPSs, both of them below 600. Devers was below 500. So when you don't have the offensive depth, that happens. And then when you don't have bullpen depth, you can't take advantage of guys with options. You need them up at all times. Like you see it with Greg Weisser. Greg Weisser got optioned, came back. Since he's come back, he hasn't let up an earned run. And I believe it's now 14 2/3 innings. It might be more. I forget. But he's in the teens of innings, and he hasn't allowed an earned run since he got optioned and came back because he got rest. He got to reset. Zach Kelly didn't get that luxury. So Zach Kelly, I don't want to say he fell apart because it was a few bad outings, but he was not the same Zach Kelly that we saw earlier in the season. And going down to the minors, not just to like work on stuff, but to get a rest and to get a fresh arm in the majors, like having that depth helps. So hopefully, like the reason I wanted to talk about this is because like these are things that moving forward, hopefully aren't as much of an issue. Hopefully the Red Sox address the bullpen, get a couple of veterans in there that you think will be able to make it through a full season, but also, you've got arms coming up through your farm and hopefully we'll acquire a couple other guys. Like, they brought in Slayton and Weisser, and I know Campbell didn't do much this year, but those were the three guys going into this year that that had options that we were excited about. Hopefully they bring in another crop of guys with options that we can be excited about. And there's even more depth, and that will help. And maybe the rotation gets that ace, which pushes everyone into the right roles, and there's more depth that way. It all kind of connects. And with the bats, I feel like that might be the most complicated piece of the puzzle, because a lot of like mine and Pat's thing can kind of just be solved by adding a couple of pieces. With the offense, with the strikeouts, that feels like it's not something that you can just snap your fingers, spend a few bucks, and solve.
No, that's you got to look in a few spots. You got to look at who from the major league roster are you willing to move for pitching, and how do you replace them, and can you replace them with a guy who's more contact oriented? I'm pretty much thinking about Jarren Duran when I say that, to be totally honest. Great season. Probably the best player on the Red Sox all year, in my opinion, but another guy with strikeout issues. Replace him with a guy like hypothetically, if you had the number one prospect in the sport, maybe you could replace him. That could cut down on the strikeouts. And then there's second base. No clue who's going to be the starting second baseman on opening day. There's like 10 people you could pick. Hopefully that's someone with a higher contact rate. I really like Chase Mydroth. I know people are going to roll their eyes and hate that because he's not a proven MLB player, but like if you've been watching that guy in AAA, he is balls in play, walks a lot. And then there's a Tyler O'Neill spot. Are you bringing him back? If so, great. That's a great right-handed power bat, but that's a lot of strikeouts as we saw all year long. I think he's got the highest strikeout rate on the team, him or like Sedano.
He does.
Okay.
He's the highest. And you say Jarren's below average strikeout wise, but he's actually one of the better players on the team in terms of strikeout percentage. He's below, but that's there's literally only one player on the team that's, and when I say one player on the team, I'm talking about in the entire organization of guys who have had a single at bat for the Red Sox this year. Only one player is above league average in strikeout rate, and it's Yoshida. And the scary thing is we've talked over and over again about why trading Yoshida makes a good amount of sense. But if you're going to do that, it's going to require you to move around a lot of extra pieces. These guys we have coming, Sammy, talk about the number one prospect in the sport. They have reasonable strikeout numbers in the minors. No one is like no one's exuding, like showing what the like Sedan showed in AAA, which made it pretty clear that he was going to have big time chase issues in the majors. None of them are showing that, but none of them are like super, super, super high contact. Like they're all good players, really good players, but none of them are going to have like 15, 16% strikeout rates. Like it's going to be in the 20s for all those guys. To me, the one guy who is the key to improving the team's contact rate, put the ball in play, and also improve them from the right side, it's Vaughn Grissom. That's what he was supposed to be. Losing him and him when he's been here being pretty ineffective, really, really hurt them in pretty much every way the offense struggled this year. A good Grissom would have gone a long way towards solving that. But reason for optimism here, in his last 21 AAA games, he hit 366 with a 1038 OPS. So obviously that matters very little for the scope of 2025. We're going to need him to have a good, healthy offseason, have a good spring training, stay healthy, and hopefully he can be a piece of this. And man, hopefully they have a depth of guys. But
yeah, well, those are the three spots I'm looking at. The whoever gets moved for a pitcher, if it's a major league player, second base, and then that DH kind of corner outfield spot. Those are the ways you cut down on strikeouts. And like you said, Gordo, it's a little bit scary because your best contact guy, Yoshida, we all agree should probably be employed elsewhere, not because of his bat, because he does nothing else. So a lot of moving parts this offseason. I felt like last offseason, I felt it was pretty straightforward. Improve the pitching, strengthen the bullpen, and let your young guys come up. Now this one is like, I don't know. This one could go 1,000 different ways. And it's exciting, at least, as Red Sox fans. We got a lot to look forward to, we hope. A lot to be afraid of as well.
Yeah. There's, again, like it's not something that it can be solved by like one thing. Like it got bad because they already weren't a good contact team. And then they lost Justin Turner and Alex Verdugo. You replace that with like Tyler O'Neill and Cedon Rafaela, and a team that already wasn't good at putting the ball in play is just going to get worse in that regard. So, I mean, yeah, you could go the Alex Bregman route if you wanted to. I don't know how in I am on that, just because I don't think the team that signs Alex Bregman is going to get a single 800 OPS season out of him. So obviously he fits. We'll talk about him a lot in the offseason, but like, yeah, guy hits from the right side, guy makes tons of contact, guy plays great third base defense, and would improve you there. But I'm personally, to me, not paying a guy over $150 million to solve those. Like, you can solve those problems without spending that money. You could spend the money on like an ace.
Man, if
like I don't want to pay 150 mil.
Like, if he were 27 years old, slam dunk, the perfect guy. But he's going to be 31 on opening day. Literally on opening day, he turns 31. Happy almost birthday in a few months, Alex Bregman.
He's such a hard guy to try and project too. Like, the defense is incredible, but he's 30. That's going to naturally regress a bit. His OPS this year is like 760, I want to say.
I've got it up right here. It is 749.
A lot of injuries too. He's been
25 home runs, which is so confusing to me because his OPS sucks, but he doesn't strike out. He's 94th percentile in strikeout, and he still has a little bit of pop at 25.
Yeah,
so is he just rounding out? What the hell's going on?
That's a weird stat line. I don't know, man. I mean, they would, no doubt, if they signed a guy like Bregman, and we'll talk about this plenty in the offseason, but if they got a guy like Bregman, the fit is great, other than the age, and you would have to give him a long-term deal. So I don't know, man.
And it's the trend. Like, there's like Aaron Judge was like a 31-year-old free agent, whatever. Like, I didn't give a shit about the age for him because he was great every year, but Bregman hasn't posted an OPS over 820 since 2019. Like,
that's a long time. Yeah.
OPS by year. In 2020, 801. 2021, he had 777. 2022, back up to 820. 2023, 804. 2024, 749. Like, to me, if you sign him for 6 or 7 years, you might get one season of an 800 OPS in that contract. And I'm not paying 150 mil for that. As much as he would solve all the other issues, it's like, outside of the leadership thing, I feel like you could solve those issues, as you said, Sammy, by literally just throwing Chase Mydroth in the game.
He's also a Scott Boras guy.
So he's going to get paid.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like this offseason might have, this most recent offseason might have like fucked with Scott Boras. He failed. He's never failed like that before.
Can you imagine if history repeats itself and the Red Sox pull a Giants and do what the Giants do with Matt Chapman with Alex Bregman?
Dude, I mean, he's the kind of guy that would happen to. Great player, trending down, 31 years old. That's such a hard task for Scott Boras. And I know nobody wants to hear sympathy for Scott Boras. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying that's not easy, man. Like, get that guy. How do you determine his market value? That's so hard. There's very few. I guess you can look at Matt Chapman, similar-ish kind of situation, but man, that is rough, dude. So no sympathy from me, though. These guys are all making more money than I'll ever see in my life. So best of luck to everyone involved. I don't think the Red Sox are going to come into play here.
I wonder if I'll end up selling myself on him by like December. Because last year, I'll never forget my guy who I wanted the Red Sox to steer clear away from was Teoscar Hernandez. Granted, a big part of that was because I thought he was going to get 75, 80 mil, and he ended up with 23 mil. But it'll be the same thing with Bregman. If he's 150 plus mil, I'm hardcore stay away. If they could get him on either the Matt Chapman 1 year and whatever deal, or if they could get him on like a 4-year deal, which I don't think is remotely possible, but if they could, then yeah, I'd be more inclined to say yes to that. But again, yeah, I mean, we'll have this discussion 1,000 times this offseason, but before we get out of here, does anyone have enough said? I actually do have one, but I'll let someone else go first. Sammy, bless you. Sammy muted himself for that sneeze. Bless you.
Oh,
again.
Sorry. I had a sneeze attack.
Is that your enough said?
No. What was my enough said? Oh, the Bruins. Last year, the Celtics won the NBA Finals. I just want to get ahead of it. Bruins are winning the Cup. I went over the East. There's no standout team. It's kind of like the American League in baseball. And then who knows what happens in the Stanley Cup Final. So I love the Bruins giant defense core. They have by far the largest size-wise defense core in the NHL. Bunch of scary motherfuckers, and they got Zadorov, which is great. He's terrifying, and he's from Russia. We don't really have many Russian destroyers on the Bruins lately, so that's cool. And Lindholm up front at center. We have 2 Lindholms now. I don't think there's any relation, but the more the merrier. So congrats to the Bruins on preemptively winning the cup.
What if I told you Jeremy Swayman's holding out? And he
No,
doesn't play?
I think Swayman's but okay, I should preface this. This is all contingent that Swayman comes back. I can't fathom a world in which he doesn't. I think they're going to take this negotiation down to the wire. Swayman knows his value. He knows his comparables. He said it. So, yeah, assuming Swayman comes back, I'm really excited for the parade. It's going to be great. I don't know who they're going to beat in the Stanley Cup final, but sign, seal, deliver. This shit's over before it even starts. Congrats to the Bruins on winning the Stanley Cup.
I love that as soon as baseball season ends, like we get like maybe a few weeks, but then basketball and hockey and football, it's just like it's not every day like baseball, but the combination of it is close to every day. So I love that about it. But
It's kind of
Pat,
nice.
any enough said from you before we get out of here?
Yeah. I don't think this is a hot take. Travis Kelce is washed.
No.
He's so bad this year. He looks I can't even think of like a comparable. Like he just looks like he's 40 out there. He looks awful.
Dude, I picked him in fantasy thinking like, oh, okay, I'll get Kelce and then I'll get like wide receiver production out of the tight end spot. I'm 0-2. Good chance I'm 0-3 at the end of the day tomorrow. It's not looking good.
As of right now, while we're recording, Kelce 4 catches on 4 targets for 30 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that, Joe. I know.
Yeah.
It's painful.
And he's been doing that all season. He's getting like 3-4 catches between 20 and 40 yards.
Yeah,
Pat?
I never, ever compare him to Gronk ever again. That's absolutely absurd that anyone has ever even thought to compare those two. Like, it's
Correct.
stupid.
Pat, just so you know, Marissa, my new wife, really likes you. If she heard that take come out of your mouth, she'd flip flop. She'd flip flop it.
All right, we'll keep it under wraps.
Yeah, we'll hold it tight. Close. Hold your cards close to the
This
chest.
isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. This won't be broadcasted on Apple Podcast, Spotify, any of that, YouTube.
The Odyssey app.
Now, Gordo,
Honestly,
does Marissa like Kelce more for the Taylor Swift aspect or
Exclusively for the Taylor Swift aspect.
okay? Yeah,
I fucking
that's how
hate
he's staying
Taylor
relevant. Because if he wasn't, as
Yeah.
Pat said, like he'd be gone out of the league.
Yeah. Bum ass.
Right.
Guy sucks.
Not a Swiftie. I'm very.
I hate Taylor Swift.
I can't stand her generic ass
Taylor
music.
Swift.
I can't wait to clip this and send it to her. This is
So
gonna be
much
great.
so that the word Taylor is actually muted on my Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, I muted Taylor Swift on my Twitter too. I can't fucking stand it.
No, like Taylor. So if Jonathan Taylor does something in a game, I don't see it.
Gordo's
I'm
such
sure-
a nice guy. Gordo's like,
What
hey,
if
it's not
what
that
if the
bad.
Red Sox signed Chris Taylor?
Oh,
No, there you go. I was trying to think of a Taylor.
I'm throwing my phone in the ocean, so I won't even have Twitter.
All right, I'll finish us off with my enough said. So when Tristan Casas hit 3 homers in the first game of the doubleheader the other day, and I tweeted out the highlight of every single one of those homers, and in one of them I said, "Can you believe that there were people?" Because there were a lot of people when Tristan Casas said that he gets fired up seeing Trevor Story naked in the shower, which I think most people thought was fucking hilarious. There were a lot of people in the mentions that were saying like, "This is fucking weird. Like, trade this guy. Like, this is ridiculous. Whatever." And even as he was hitting homer after homer after homer, and I said, like, "Can you believe that there were people that wanted to trade this guy just because he gets fired up seeing Story in the shower?" Homer after homer after homer, I was getting people still saying, like, "This guy's a bum. Like, where was he earlier in the season? Trade this guy. He's weird." Like, I cannot deal with takes like that. There are 2 takes that piss me off more than anything. It's the trade Tristan Casas because he's different, and blame Alex Cora because the Red Sox are striking out, or blame Alex Cora because the reliever who you were able to trust for 2 months all of a sudden has blown a couple of games. Like those two takes piss me off more to no end, but the Casas one especially, because you are a weak ass motherfucker if you want to trade the guy who I still believe is going to be one of your best hitters for years to come. Just because what? Because he paints his nails like get a fucking life.
Paints his nails and he would steal your girl if he wanted to.
Mhm.
Nerd. Yeah, no,
So, yeah,
I think
enough of
you're
that.
like I don't want to call people names, but if you dislike Casas for being different, you're just a loser. You're a loser, and you should reflect on yourself. Look within, because Tristan Casas is speed running life right now, and you are mad that he's painting his nails. So look in the mirror, and you'll see a loser. That's you. Go Sox.
That is you.
Go Sox.
But yeah, Viva Tristan Casas. He's going to have a monster 2025. I cannot wait till he shoves those nerds in lockers. It's going to be great. But it's fucking annoying that we have to wait a whole offseason to get it. And you're going to have to wait a few more days till you get another podcast from us, because that's going to do it for episode 135 of Play Tessie. Before you go about your day, remember, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, rate us 5 stars, all those platforms. You know the drill. We're on YouTube as well. You can find us there on the WEI page, on the Play Tessie playlist. Go there, hit the thumbs up, all that, comment, all those things. Subscribe to WEI. Find us on the socials at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. For Sammy and for Pat, for Joe producing, it's Gordo here for the 135th episode of Play Tessie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Till next time, peace.